Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. How nice that you are once more watching our program. Today we are starting the daily practice of Agni Yoga, or the practice of immortality, or in other words, a new way of life that is compatible with your new dignity as immortal man. The first of the 10 pillars of the practice of Agni Yoga is the defense of the higher consciousness. You see again, Agni Yoga is a spiritual yoga. Here the spirit, the development of your consciousness come first. The transformation into the new immortal man must first and foremost take place within your consciousness. We had already said, man is what he thinks. Only someone who thinks like an immortal can appear in the world as such, and thus be an immortal creature. You must achieve your immortality regardless of the external circumstances. As long as you are unable to act like an immortal in all conditions into which you have been exiled, you are not yet an immortal. As unusual as it may sound, it is true nevertheless. To gain immortality is a spiritual exercise. The new man differs from the old one, in particular by the fact that he forms a consciousness of his immortality and preserves the respective attitude in all worldly situations. You become an immortal by getting used to a new way of thinking. Identify yourself with your soul. Think at every moment. Never forget. I am not a material, but a spiritual being. I am a soul. Then your corresponding appearance in the world will result by itself. As we had already discussed, this new thinking runs, for example, I am not a temporal, but an eternal being. I am not a man or a woman because my true self is sexless. I am not a German, an American, or a Russian because my higher self incarnates in the most diverse people and therefore is a citizen of the world. I am not a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, or a Jew, because my eternal self appears in a variety of religions. My true home is the world beyond of the soul, and so on. We are infinite, not temporary. As we had also already said, this new thinking runs further. You do not think any longer, I am hungry, when your stomach growls, but my vehicle asks for fuel. Does it really need some already now? You do not think when your body has been injured, I feel pain, but my tool seems to be damaged. How can I fix it? If you get into the habit of this new way of thinking, and if you act accordingly, you will transform over time and develop from a physical to a spiritual creature, because you then think, feel, speak, and act as a spiritual creature does. We had already said, your true self is immortal and therefore inviolable. Your soul is, by its very nature, fearless, completely free and selfless. This spiritual being stands by the power of a superior smile over and above all material conditions. It actually enjoys the various obstacles, difficulties, and struggles of everyday life, because only through them it can grow. This means, in order to become a soul, you have to develop a number of qualities. As long as you still show, for example, fear or selfishness, you actually are not yet an immortal. This is, at first, a step in the development of your consciousness, an inner process. Here, within you, the new attitude is being formed. Fearlessness, power, joy, selflessness. As a next step, you need to test, to practice, to confirm, and to prove this spiritual achievement in the material world. If you want to become an immortal, you must withdraw your consciousness from the body and shift it to the higher self, as the following drawing shows. You must learn to think, to feel, to speak, and to act as required by your spiritual being. The crucial question is, from where are you being ruled? As long as your consciousness rests in the body, you will be thrown to and fro by its earthly worries and material lust. If your consciousness moves out of the body and into your higher self, you stand above the earthly turmoil. Then your spirit determines your thoughts and actions on the physical plane. The mere acquisition of wonder-working powers can never secure immortality for the student of occult science, unless he has learned the means of shifting gradually his sense of individuality from his corruptible material body to the incorruptible and eternal non-being represented by his seventh principle. Please consider this as the real aim of occult science, and see whether the rules you are called upon to obey are necessary or not to bring about this mighty change. When you change your identity and turn from a material to a spiritual being, you, your true self, slips, so to speak, into a different skin. Your consciousness leaves the body and enters the soul. That is as if your spirit takes possession of a foreign body, for example, of the body of another human being or of an animal. Only that the soul is not a physical body, but an object of the subtle world. See it this way: the soul exists, but it is like a dead shell as long as you do not fill it with your consciousness. Only then does it come to life, may appear in the world, and speak and act through the physical body. When your consciousness remains in the body, it will expire with its death. When it is transferred to the soul, it will go on living with it after the death of the body. Only thus can the promise of eternal life, known by all religions, come true. We had already said, to gain immortality means to establish the rule of the spirit over oneself, namely, to express only the higher self, the divine of our nature. As long as you allow the body to rule your thoughts, feelings, words, and acts, you appear in the world not as a spiritual, but as a physical creature. Plato said, our true eternal self is like a charioteer who must steer and control the horses of his chariot. The four horses of this quadriga are the physical body, the body of emotions, the body of instincts, and the body of thoughts. Constantly, one of these horses is trying to break out and have his own way. The physical body calls for pleasures. The body of feelings indulges in his moods. The body of instincts reacts aggressively or is longing for reproduction, whereas the body of thoughts constantly harbors the most diverse ideas. Incessantly, the higher self is busy trying to tame them all. The hands of your spiritual self should be at the helm of your personal nature as surely and persistently as the hand of the captain is never withdrawn from the control of his boat. If you leave the rule to the horses, to the lower mortal self, then the chariot misses its destiny. The charioteer, the soul, must set the goal and prevail over the intentions of the horses. This continuous engagement with the lower transitory part of our nature is a purely internal process, a spiritual struggle within ourselves, with ourselves. Are you, your true eternal self, the ruler, or are you being ruled? This is being decided solely within your own consciousness.